Oh, hi, Jessica.
Hey, I also wanted to bring up too, when you were talking about safety,
Mhm.
you can always ask your favorite local lender to sit with you, and that's kind of cool too, because they can answer a lot of the financing questions while your people are there and just automatically start a relationship,
Mhm. Yeah, and that helps, like you said, safety also.
Mhm.
Andy, do you have a favorite local lender?
I might.
You might. Are you in a relationship with that favorite local lender?
Maybe.
Maybe.
She may be sorry she asked.
I could get away with that a little bit of sarcasm every now and then.
The other thing, looking at Cindy, she gave me a really good idea one time, was to print off a lot of the other for sale properties that are like that, just in case they might want to go see something, after the open house or the next day, and you can kind of latch them in,
That's a good point, Denise. Let me follow up on that too. And you touched on it a minute ago, but a lot of people that come through an open house could be people that are sort of quietly interviewing agents for who they want to use to list their home down the road. They're not really interested in buying your home, but they're interested in seeing how you present yourself, what you do at an open house, and whether they'd want to consider you down the road as their agent. So you could have some other collateral material there, like your listing guide or anything else like that someone could pick up that would make a positive impression. So even if you don't pick up a buyer or a prospect, you may be picking up a potential listing down the road from a neighbor if you've done a good job, which means you don't show up at the last minute unprepared. You need to know the competition. So if someone says, well, how is this priced home in Eastern Forest? Well, you can talk intelligently about the other homes that have sold, the other homes that are on the market in the area, those kind of things that help make a good impression on people visiting, and it's just good knowledge for you to have to help promote that house and get it sold.
Right.
Picking up on what Norman said, one of the Institute classes on open houses is strictly on what to do prospecting for people coming in for listing their house. They basically say, okay, you've got the setup and everything for people to show the house, but now here's what you do to get people coming in to work on listing their property and prospecting that way. It's a tremendous tool. So that's another thing. You can check that out in one of the Institute classes. It's very good.
Yeah. So you've been through the open house bundle, Don?
Excuse me,
I said
say again.
You've been through the open house bundle on leading real estate companies in the world.
It was one of the classes. I believe it is actually in the new agent program that you can do. It was one of the classes. It wasn't specific for that group, but it was very good because it went through a different angle. It didn't go in the no fish aren't nibbling on me. This is my new aquarium in the Wetumpka office. We keep it real nice up there.
I thought that it actually was swimming from one side through your ear and you came out the other side.
But yes, pursue all the angles when you're doing the open house. Not necessarily I'm holding this open, hoping to get a buyer and making the seller happy, and maybe I'll sell the house. Be looking at it for prospecting a potential listing coming in the door.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to talk about directional signs at all?
Yeah, I can. I mean, when we were talking about what the rules are for the subdivision, that was to apply for directionals. Did you
let me make another point there that I just heard this week from an agent in Birmingham. You increase your traffic at an open house exponentially if you put directional signs out, a few days ahead of time to let people know there's going to be an open house and they can have a clear path to find the house you're holding open. But this agent in Birmingham actually picked up a listing because a neighbor in the neighborhood thought they were the top listing agent in that neighborhood. And she asked why they thought that. And they say, well, we see all your directional signs out all over the subdivision. Well, all she did was once a week, she picked up her directional signs from one corner and moved it to a different corner within the same subdivision and rotated them around every week. And it just looked like she was all over that subdivision. And she was really just giving people different options for coming to the house. And the visibility of those directional signs got her a listing appointment and got her the listing. So it's extra work to put directional signs up before an open house and go back and take them down afterwards. But it can certainly be a good business builder for you.
Right. Actually,
I don't know if it's been mentioned, but something regarding signage and directional signs is when you put them out. Now that's your business, and some neighborhoods have regulations on when you can put them out and when you have to take them back up. I always put my open house signs up on Thursday. I put the directional signs with a Sunday open 2 to 4, whatever it is, out. I put the sign in the yard that says Sunday 2 to 4. So people during the week can kind of mentally think, I think I'm going to go by and check that out and plan in advance instead of just seeing it as they go by on the day of the open house.
and again, though, that's if they allow them to stay up, you could put it out there that early. But like you said, putting it in the yard, I mean, they can't mess with that sign.
Is there a way, because I know like there's certain rules for certain neighborhoods. Is there a way to like put a list together of the rules for each area? So, in Deer Creek, it's going to be, you have to use these signs, and this is where you get them made or who you talk to. And you can't put signs out except for the day of or whatever, and just kind of quantify that into neighborhoods. And that might be easy for agents to see so that they know. I feel like open houses are picking back up again.
Mhm.
At least I see they are in Birmingham from the emails that I get. So I'm sure they're going to start opening up more
Mhm.
frequently here too.
Yeah.
Are you volunteering to do that, Jessica, or are you just making that as a suggestion?
Suggestions, because I don't know that information. So.
It's like church, you have an idea and they put you in charge of that committee.
No, I decline.
It's funny, I had thought about that, about setting that up, and I'll try to delve into that maybe and get it out to everybody. Of course, you can't do, all of the subdivisions, but get some of them and do the best you can, and I'll try to get that up for everybody.
Well, I think a simple rule of thumb is if it has an HOA, then you probably need to find out if there's any requirements. If it's Del Reyta, if it's whatever, if it's not a subdivision that doesn't have an HOA, then you're probably a little less restrictive as far as what you can do.
Right. I know that they talk about when you start to put, say, a directional in somebody's yard, and I agree. I understand if it's on a corner, you kind of think, well, that should be okay, but you need to try to talk to the owner of the house, let them know that you're going to put this up here, and would it be okay if they have a problem with that? Some people do, and you'll lose your signs. So if you get a chance to ask permission, I advise you to do so. You agree, Norman?
I agree. In theory.
Yeah, I know.
Just a word, particularly you new people that have not done open houses yet. That's probably the thing that I recommend to help get yourself started and just dive in and get your feet wet in the real estate business. My mentor, when I got in the real estate business, Earl Willis, was the top real estate agent in the association when I started with Louder Realty. Denise was there as well back then. And he did an open house every Sunday. He had a system. He got his pad and pencils and did all his work in preparation for stuff that he was going to do for the week. And he had a system of meeting people, and he listed and sold property like nobody's business. And so it is a great opportunity to meet people that are at least showing an interest in what's going on in real estate by coming in the door. So take advantage of it.
All right.
If you don't know where to start with an open house, we've got plenty of agents that may have some extra listings that would want to have an open house. So if you want to reach out to that agent, that's fine. If you'd rather Don or I reach out on your behalf, just let us know. We'll be happy to.
There's not an agent we have that wouldn't be excited about someone asking to help them with an open house. And don't think because you don't have one that you can't do one. We've got plenty of opportunities out there for hosting an open house.
Just
Hey, I've got a question. Is it
and,
normal that if somebody does an open house for like another brokerage? Like I've seen people want to do like New Park or DR Horton's, houses and stuff. Is that okay? Or do we frown upon that or?
I would think Norman, stop me. I would think it would be okay to do that. You're not going to have that happen very often. But you need to have an agreement on what happens if you find a buyer. Because as you can imagine in a new home subdivision, maybe the on-site person or whoever may have already registered them somehow. There's different rules for different brokers that represent these builders. So you need to have a clear agreement on compensation in the event that you pick up a buyer and write them. It's better to get that. I always say this is on everything. If you start to think, oh, well, they'll pay me a commission or this will be great, I'll be able to make some money real quick. You need to be sure that y'all all agree on what that compensation is. And so, yeah, it's.
I'm gonna chime in and say something about that. We don't have other agents hosting open houses for us. And anything can happen. I have a concern of liability being in a seller's house that we do not represent as a company. And so I don't know how Norman feels about that. I kind of frown on that. If you want an open house, we'll find one for you. In my opinion, I think we need to stay away from other companies and how they do business and what their responsibilities are. I wouldn't want to get tangled up in it. What do you think, Norman?
I agree with that generally. I think letting another agent from another company hold your house open is not a good thing. It makes it look like you're not doing your job and you had to go get another agent who's more motivated than you to hold an open house. So I would not ever let another agent from another company advertise my listing or hold it open. On the reverse side, if we have a long-standing relationship with someone like we do with Louder New Homes or the builders that we had at the Cove or whatever, and they need somebody to hold an open house, that's a good opportunity and something that's usually appreciated by the builder and a good opportunity for you, but not just other people's existing listings. I would agree with Don on that.
Thank you, Don, for changing your background.
I had too many messages. That was annoying. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say,
The only time I've ever seen it though, Norman, is when somebody was doing like I said, like a DR Horton house or like the new homes. And I thought it was weird, but I just wasn't sure if that was,
Okay. I don't have a problem with the builder on an open house opportunity because, typically subdivisions get a lot of traffic. And it's a good place for you to pick up prospects, and they are usually very co-op friendly. And so in a DR Horton or a Stone Martin or a Louder or somebody like that, if they would ask you to hold an open house, first of all, that's a very high compliment on their part. That means they trust you with their product and your skills and abilities. And I wouldn't have a problem doing it if you have the time and want to, but I would not do it for another agent's listing.
So one of the things that is the big question, when agents start doing open houses, that newer agents start to do open houses, you kind of want to know how to start up that conversation with that person that walks in the door. I say person, it could be persons. But just there's a point where you can be too pushy. But more than likely they're kind of nervous about talking to you too. So just introduce yourself, and you may want to, at that point, you could talk about the special points about the house, but just let them know that they can walk through the house, and if they have questions, you'll be waiting on them. And if you kind of get the feeling that you made a good connection and it's just that person, just try to find out more about them. If they don't want to, for instance, if they don't want to sign the register is a good spot to sort of be talking to them when they're signing in. You can get them to do that. And I don't want to say if you can get them to do that. People are just kind of funny about it sometimes. Usually they'll tell you that they've already got a realtor, but you can always ask if they've got a realtor. And
Make sure you ask if they have a realtor. It's a problem if you work with them, do all the work, and then they say, I'm working with someone else.
Right. And then be sure and talk the value of the house, and at that point, and then let them start to walk through the house and take a look at the space and enjoy it in their own time frame. That kind of also is a way I wanted to get back to, when you start to have the open house and you confirm it with the owner that you're going to have it. They don't need to stay in the house. It's, first of all, it's not good because they will feel like they want to talk and they can give away too much information. Also, it's kind of uncomfortable for them to see strangers walking through their house. So it's a real, it's a good idea to ask them just to stay away, and they can come back at whatever time frame after the open house is open. May want to tell them to come back, say like if it's from 2 to 4, then have them come back at 4:30. That way you can sort of clean up and cut off lights and get the house into certain shape from people walking through it and that kind of stuff. And then you also kind of want to talk to them about the people that showed up. They may know some of the people, so that would be interesting, to find out if they do. And I don't think you'd want to give them a copy of that contact information if you get it. Just because I've had owners reach out and try to talk to the people that had registered, and it's just not a good idea. What do you think, Norman? Do you agree?
I do. I think while you're on that topic, a little different point is, if you'll take the time to reach out to the people that did come to the open house with a thank you note, or even an email or a text message or something like that, you go a long way in trying to solidify them as far as them as a possible client for you.
Right. There's people that do little takeaways, I don't know, keychains or whatever at the open houses. I had come up with the idea on the COVID shot card or vaccination card is is a good thing for some people, and some people don't think that you should even have the shot. So whether they're going to take one or not, but if you could get some of those plastic sleeves printed up with your contact information, that's something that they're going to keep around for sure. And you always want takeaways that are that somebody's going to keep and not just sort of like lose it or throw it away or do whatever. So so that's one thing that I had come up with an idea for that. I bought mine, so you know, I started thinking, what could you do that you could, that wouldn't be heavy and wouldn't be cumbersome. A lot of people do water. They do water like the Aquafina or the clear, the mineral water or the regular water or whatever. First of all, if they spill the water in the house, it's going to be okay. Soft drinks and that kind of stuff, if they start walking through the house and they pick it up, they can have some accidents with that. So water, cold water sitting out or in a bucket or whatever, you can put a label on it with your contact information on there. So that is something to think about having. And then the other thing that right now for me is a important thing, but somebody at convention had come up with these little small ice packs, and everybody will, or me for sure, we keep one of these in the freezer at all times, and it's got your, it would have your advertising on there. And I don't know the prices on these or the prices on the other things, but I'm gonna try to find out what they would be, and if you're interested in it, let me know, and I'll get you that information also. Let's see.
Denise. Hey, it's KK.
Mhm.
Can you talk about cameras and the Ring doorbell and stuff like that, how to handle? Because sometimes I've had clients that have parked down the street and watched the whole thing, you know, and don't tell you they're going to do that, or, you know, comment made trying to get in the door with the Ring doorbell, and just, you know, how to handle that situation.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna start coughing. You know, when I show houses, I always tell them we never know whether or not there's cameras in the house or not. And even as a listing agent, that may be something that the owner may not communicate with you. But you may want to ask. You know, you could put out that the house has security cameras and put it on a little flyer on the table, or something around the door. And of course, if you see them run after they read it, then you know there's a little security factor there. But yeah, I do think that if you know that it should be communicated that they're going to be on camera. And it's funny, I've seen different people react to them differently, but they all feel, you can see their whole body language changes usually when they realize that they're on camera. I was showing a house the other day I had not been through. I was showing it for somebody. And so I was walking through and they were a few steps behind me, but they were looking at something different. And I opened these double doors, and I mean, it was wall to wall video screens of the front, the back, different rooms, and all throughout the house. And so that was I kind of left that door open so that they would understand that. But so KK, have you had any experience with that?
Yes, I have. I've had an agent call me that said, I brought the buyer, an agent that had the listing call and said, my client was down the street watching your showing the house, and said that they had very positive comments, like they were going to make an offer. So could you give me an update on it? I've also, as an agent, we have to be aware too that we can't lead or what's the word? Try and give any negative comments, or you need to look over here or look over there, or something that you noticed. I think that MLS, that Mars should let us have that as a requirement in the listing to notify an agent. It's protection for us, but they don't. There's been another one incident that I had. This agent did. She had the listing, and her client said specifically no pictures in the house, cameras in the house, no video, photos, anything we're allowed to. It was a buyer's alert, buyer agent alert. So, I just think it's a good idea to have it somewhere in the listing. And I don't know what everybody else's opinion is about it, but it's something to protect us as well as,
Sure.
The pros and cons.
Right.
And KK, well, in confirmation, I think whenever I'm starting to try, always assume that you are being watched, no matter what. I think showing houses, whether you have an open house, I think if we just approach it that way, we handle it much more gingerly. It's difficult when you're with a buyer and they start putting down the house and you want to talk to them, but you just have to wait till later, because we could really distance people from ourselves,
This is an example of learning from a bad experience. It was in probably about July, several years ago, where cameras were not super prevalent. And the Ring cameras were, every now and then you'd see them on houses. But it was July, it was hot. This is all my excuses. But I went to the front door, my buyers are behind me, and I went to unlock it, and turns out it had a numeric lockbox on it, and in no place was there reference to what the code was. And I had not caught that when I was looking through the information in MLS. And so I was like, oh, great. It's got to have a code, and I've got to get a hold of the agent. Y'all, please, I apologize. I know it's hot. And then I look up, and there's the Ring camera sitting there, and the homeowner is hearing what I'm saying. And I was like, but isn't this a great house? I really changed my story and tried to, but it was pretty obvious that it was like an aha moment when I looked straight into the camera. So yeah, like they said, make sure that you just make an assumption that they're watching you. And that's a good point, KK. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions or any experiences that you've had in the past? Oh, we're all quiet, but y'all be good about giving your own personal experiences. Well, I'm going to get that list together in reference to what I can find out about individuals' associations and what their requirements are. Remember that those things can change, so we'll do our best to try to keep up with that. And let me know if you have any further questions. And that'll be it. Norman?
Are you asking me if that's going to be it, or are you just saying?
I'm opening the floor if you needed to add anything.
No, I think you've done a good job. I think what Don said earlier, open houses is a great business builder, especially if you do them professionally and are well prepared when you do them. So if you're
One
not
thing that I
using
left out, I'm sorry, was COVID. You may want to have masks there. You may want to have, well, obviously you want to have hand sanitizer and that kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind as things, happen with the virus, and have an agreement with the seller as to to either requiring masks or whether that matters to them at all. It's something to discuss.
I think also, Denise, sometimes they have a note in there that you need to wear, not so much now, but they have booties left at the front door to tell your client before you go to the house, because not everybody's comfortable taking off their shoes and putting on booties to walk, or either putting on booties on that period, or taking the shoes off.
Right.
To let your clients know, open house, or if you're showing a house.
Right.
Now, I don't know, I don't think you talked about this, but I just had to go back and look at the application. MAR does offer an application for security that's called Noonlight, NOONLIGHT. And you download it. I think that we had a class on it there. You download the app, and it is a blue circle, and you set it up and you have people to alert, but it's kind of like if you had an emergency, the things that you wear around your neck for, people at home or whatever, it's on your phone. And if you tap that, it will automatically, someone will call you from their service. If you don't answer it, they will, you have to give permission for them to find you, your tracking, whatever, on your phone. They will send the police to your location, and they will notify people that you put first, second, and third notification, but they'll call you first and ask you a security question, and are you okay? But it's something that MAR highly recommends.
Right. I know that some of the, some cell phones have that on there, and they have different instructions. So I'm really not going to go into how to do it, but some cell phones have that on there. But if it's not, I think to have the more formal program is better, because it'll be somebody who's calling you. And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever done it, but how many times do you accidentally call somebody and you didn't really need them and that kind of stuff? If on this thing, it actually goes through a list of people that you put in there, and it makes a phone call to those people. But I like
After
the idea.
after they've called the police.
Correct. Yeah.
And
So
I don't
that's what
know.
I'm saying. The phone setup is probably not the way to go, but that one is.
Yeah, and MAR recommended it, so I don't know if they pay a fee for realtor services or not, but it was in the last year and a half that they promoted it for us to put it on our phones for security.
Right. And since I am running for, look, you're sharing your screen, Norman.
That's what KK's talking about.
Oh, it's Moonlight.
Not moonlight. It's
Yeah,
moon,
Moonlight, yes.
not moon pie or moonlight or.
Okay.
I thought I spelled it NOONLIGHT.
There you go. What's the pricing on it, Norman?
It's good.
Now
It's
you're-
free to
now you're
agent.
going to- Now you're going to meddling. I have no idea.
Well, it's up at the top.
It's free to agents.
Okay.
I just downloaded it, and I'm fulfilling in the information now, and it doesn't seem to be charging me anything since I downloaded it.
It might even ask for your license number, but I didn't pay a fee.
Okay.
And I have pushed the button by accident, not knowing I had, and it does work. You better
So-
answer the phone, or they will send the police.
So if you're
That's all I'm
lonely,
gonna
you
say.
talk to somebody, you just push the button. Is that what you do?
If you push the button, they will call you.
Well, that's a good, yeah, I'm gonna put that on my phone. I'm going to do
It's
that.
good if you're going shopping. I mean, anywhere you can use it. You're at home and you've fallen, and whatever.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that.
Anybody has any other contributions or questions?
I was gonna say if they want to sign up, if they're looking for, if new agents are looking for an open house, to just pop that on the Facebook Agent Connection group, because anybody that's posted that before has gotten an open house pretty quickly. So if you're looking, that's where you need to post.
Okay. Good deal. Well, that's it, guys. Thank y'all for being here, and see y'all later. Have a good weekend.
Good job, Denise.
Good job, Denise.
Thank you.
Happy weekend, everybody.
You too.
Thank you, and happy birthday, Norman.
Happy birthday, Norman.
Oh, he's already gone.